The Estate Takedown level. This is a fun level. A couple juggernauts to kill on this one. You have to kill 40 enemies. That's the objective on this one. Kill 40 enemies on veteran difficulty.
And a time limit?
No. The time's just counting up because I turned the clock on.
I see.
There are a lot of snipers on this one. And a decent amount. I'd say, if I had to guess, I'd say there's maybe 15 snipers, 5 juggernauts, and the rest are just basic infantry. The snipers, a similar situation to what you had to deal with on the Gillies in the Mist. That's not what it's called. That's what the level was called on the previous game. What was it called? The sniper level, where they're like really hard to see. But you also really have to listen for that gong noise for when the juggernauts are coming.
So is it there's over 40 enemies, or there's only 40 and you kill everyone? Because I remember that hostile one.
Right.
There was more hostiles than...
I believe there's only 40.
Okay.
I'm not sure. What happened at the very end of this run is that we were like looking for the last couple enemies, and then we heard a gong. And we're like, oh shit. And then we killed all the guys, and then we didn't have a chance to really see if there was even more. But I think there's only 40.
Okay.
But for the beginning, kill as many guys from this starting area as possible. Just snipe. You have plenty of ammo, so you don't have to worry about wasting it. And just be listening for that gong for when the Juggernaut comes sprinting. Because when you stay back at this beginning area, the Juggernauts usually spawn from inside the house, it looks like, and kind of come running straight at you. And
is this a multiplayer map? I feel like I played this map. I played
not
like 3
exactly.
It's close.
Not exactly. It's very similar to one of the multiplayer maps. Very, but I think it's a different house completely. But just keep an eye on that mini map. It'll tell you where some bad guys are shooting from. Just kill as many guys from this beginning area as possible. Eventually, you'll have to walk forward and find some more enemies. I'm not sure if they're trigger point enemies that only spawn after you walk over an invisible line, but I just couldn't see them. This is a very big level, actually, and this was one of my favorite levels for Spec Ops because it's very open and it lets you kind of figure out what the best way to do it is. It's not so linear like a lot of the other ones are.
No hallways.
No hallways, exactly.
Another thing I was going to mention is the length of these Spec Op missions. I bet you get more time out of Spec Ops than the game, the single player.
At least in the amount of time that I spent retrying some of them. Yeah, definitely.
There's like 23 things here, and some of them are well over 10 minutes.
The Spec Ops missions, I was just thinking about this. I like the later ones a lot, everything after Charlie, because they're challenging, but they're not easy. And they're not like, most of them aren't just insanely challenging and frustrating. The only one that I found insanely challenging, we did a little glitch exploit to get through it, which made it super easy, which is the next level. No, the high explosives level.
Second to last.
Right, the wet work one. Ooh, that one took a while to get because we were idiots, and I'll explain that on the next level. But so right now I'm running back because I heard a gong, and I'm dropping some claymores. And actually, you have to hide the claymores a lot better than I was doing there because the Juggernauts and the other guys will shoot them if they're too obvious.
That's pretty good AI.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool to see them do that. Now, even though there are Juggernauts on this level, most of them, or the other enemies, are not the super armored enemies, like the ones on the Snatch and Grab level.
Okay. So they're easy to kill.
So they're much easier to kill. And I guess we just heard another gong and are sprinting back again. Yeah. Just a couple sniper shots, take them out pretty easy. If they get too close, toss some flashbangs. That usually stuns them for a second, or try to hit them with a grenade or your grenade launcher, and that usually should give you and your teammate enough time to, reload or regenerate health or whatever you need to do.
Mm-hmm. So when you hear the gong, do you know where he's going to be?
On this level, they all seem to spawn from the same spot in that house.
'Cause when I played just a little bit, the thing I found most frustrating was I didn't know where people were.
You're talking about multiplayer, though, right?
Or single player.
Oh. Okay. Wow, I just missed that sniper with like 10 shots. That was pathetic.
Like, do you wait to get hit from him to see? Or, like, are you looking in a certain spot every time? Why are you so good at this?
Well, the juggernauts come from the same spot every time. They come from, I'll point it out, it's like the back or the front door of the house, basically. And they have to kind of run around the outside of the house.
Okay.
And the other enemies, though, they're kind of spread out all over that field. I'm just kind of slowly looking back and forth, waiting for a lens flare to catch my attention, or a little bit of movement or something.
Okay.
In a minute here, I will move forward. To try to pick some more of them off, but yeah, this one's not too hard as long as you're patient and like really patient. I think we made it harder on ourselves than we needed to, because we were trying to keep the video short and not necessarily rush, but just kind of keep it concise. Whereas we could have taken hours to complete these, which is nice, which is like a really interesting way of doing some of these challenges. It would have been cool if there was a leaderboard, though, for time on some of them. Unfortunately, there's not. So I'm starting to make my way over to the stables, which I found was the best way to kind of sweep out this area, that there was a number of snipers in this field. And then eventually you're going to make your way to that house in the middle to try to trigger the last waves of juggernauts.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
So Treyarch versus Infinity Ward. Treyarch basically copied Modern Warfare or Call of Duty 4 to make World at War.
Right.
Do you think that Modern Warfare 2 was, like, would you even know that this is Infinity Ward, or would you say this is Treyarch slightly making it better?
Oh.
Like, could you even tell the difference,
The differences between Call of Duty 4 and this, and Call of Duty 4 and World at War, this has a lot of changes to the leveling up system.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm just wondering, because it's always been such
that's
a
an interesting
huge discrepancy between the funness of Treyarch and Infinity Ward.
Actually, I don't know about that. Like, I liked the single player for World at War. I thought that was fun because it was really hard. But for so right now it's up to me to kill that juggernaut.
That army of one.
That army of one. Exactly. I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Because it felt like, to me, World at War was Call of Duty 4 reskinned.
Well, the thing is, Call of Duty 3 was very different from Call of Duty 2.
Yeah.
And World at War did a much better job of copying Infinity Ward's formula than they did with Call of Duty 3.
Taking what's good.
It felt like Call of Duty 3 was like a completely different engine. Like, it just was not fun. I just didn't like Call of Duty 3 at all. But World at War I actually liked.
So you have high hopes for Treyarch next year?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we have no idea what they're going to do. I assume in the next couple months.
Probably an older war.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out.
I'd bet on it.
You'd bet on it?
I'd bet on it being Vietnam or earlier.
I wouldn't take that bet. I think it'd be interesting to see them change eras. So right now we're just kind of running around, trying to find some more enemies without going into that house, because we know that there are more enemies in that house, and we're just trying to make sure that no one's going to sneak up behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And right about here is when we trigger the last wave of enemies. See a couple snipers off in the distance. Some good sniping there, finally. I wasn't doing too well before.
Do you have to hold your breath, or do you hold your breath?
Yes, I do. Well, when it's that far away, I do.
Uh-huh.
So if it's close enough that I can just manually correct for the wavering of the scope, then I don't. Like for this guy, I'm not holding my breath because it's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're just getting rushed and like praying to God that we don't get screwed. I'm just tossing flashbangs like crazy. And now that's the last juggernaut, so at this point, it's pretty simple.
You can breathe easy.
You can breathe. Take a deep breath and relax.
There's not going to be any more gongs.
No more gongs. Well, the next couple levels, lots of gongs. But that's for a different video.
Mission accomplished.